Good morning to everyone who is present here today. Myself, Vaishnavi Veeraraghavan, and it gives me immense pleasure to present my topic here today, which is climate change, weather extremes, and disease patterns. Climate change. When we say climate change, it isn't just words, it's a real thing. And a man made climate change can be much more scarier than the real one. The rise in global temperatures over the last several decades is a matter of public record. There is an overwhelming scientific consensus that it can only be explained by one thing, that is, rise in greenhouse gas emissions caused by human activities. Some people say that climate change is a natural thing and we must not worry about it. The answer to that is that we have indeed had a naturally occurring climate change since the earth was formed, but none of the natural causes of climate variation from the sun's output to the tilt of the earth, the volcanic activity, the emissions from rotting vegetation can account for the warming that we observe today. There is only one thing that can be done, that can be found as the conclusion, which is the emissions from fossil fuels. The concentrations of carbon dioxide that can be seen in our atmosphere has increased drastically, that is nearly 30% since the beginning of industrial revolution. Earth is warming and we need to stop burning our fossil fuels. The environment has suffered badly. Numerous species and habitats, birds, trees, and aquatic lives are being affected by the hot conditions of weather and high demand for water. This kind of thing won't be happening every year, but it will happen more frequently and it will be even more worse. We all enjoy summers, but I believe that by 2040, it is likely that there won't be anything exceptional about summers like the ones we have had before. The summers will will not be exceptional, but we'll try to make that even that normal. This kind of thing won't happen every year. More frequent and more extreme flooding and coastal erosion caused by those wetter and heavier rains, stronger storms, and rising sea levels is what threatens all of us, because floods will destroy lives and livelihoods and communities of people. Which brings us to our next subtopic, which is weather extremes. Climate change means more rain is likely to fall more quickly into our rivers. So they will fill up quicker and will flood the surrounding land unless they can rapidly discharge all that rainwater into the sea. But higher the tides and sea levels, which climate will also bring, mean that precisely when we need our rivers to be better at discharging water to the sea, they'll be less and less be able to do so, because they will be increasingly tide locked. So we have three nightmares of the future scenarios. One where high seas will overwhelm our sea defenses. Second, where the rivers flood the lands behind the defenses. Third will be both together. So if we fail to address these future risks, well, that many low-lying parts of the country will be either permanently waterlogged or flooded with such frequency as to it will no longer be habitable. It's not just that, wherein because of the burning of the oceans, the burning of the ice at the Arctic and Antarctic, which is causing rise in sea levels. Every week we see new and undeniable climatic events, evidences that can be seen, which has accelerated the climate change is right here and right now. Droughts are intensifying, oceans are acidifying, with methane plumes rising up to the ocean floor. We are seeing extreme weather events and the West Antarctic, the Greenland ice sheets melting at unprecedented rates, decades ahead of scientific projections. None of this is hysteria, it is a fact. The scientific community knows this, and the industry knows it, the government knows this. Everybody knows it, but we must make sure that the climate change doesn't become our greatest security threat. As we move on to the next one, I would like to make it a point that to say that it is a vicious cycle, and it's not just the biodiversity or the greenery that we see around us. It is not just that. This has a direct impact on economy of our country, which will lead to loss of employment opportunities, wherein the rich will become rich, the poor will become poorer. As we move on to the next topic, which is disease patterns, we must be aware of malaria, dengue fever, chikungunya. We must have even personally experienced it. It is because of the compounding of various diseases and viruses that are getting settled in a place. So it affects more than 17% of all infectious diseases, causing more than 700,000 deaths annually. And most of the people who are experiencing these kind of diseases are young children who are below 15 years of age. And we must make sure that the richer countries or the developed countries can help the developing and the underdeveloped countries. It's because it is their responsibility, it is their problems that is being handed down to the developing and the underdeveloped countries. And due to anarchy and political instability, political unrest, which has caused several deaths due to extreme poverty and diseases. Hence, it becomes their responsibility to send specialized doctors and hospitals, because these countries are sent to the brink because of the problems that are being faced today, and disease is one of them. The one thing that we can prominently say is that the one that we're experiencing right now as we're having this conference, it is COVID-19 pandemic that has made us do everything online. It has made us have this meeting today online in Zoom. We can see that it is the poor countries here as well who is getting affected. They received their vaccine at the last hour, due to which we cannot gauge the number of deaths that happened because of COVID. A research was conducted wherein using questionnaire method, wherein I asked some simple questions, and people of varied groups answered the questions. We can see that about 61.4% of the people knew about the climate change and its repercussion, and around 64.3% of people knew about the harmful gases which is getting emitted into our ozone, our atmosphere, which is directly harming the ozone layer. It was found that just by filling the questionnaire, people felt the need to change. People felt the need to save our environment, our mother, our mom. And it is high time that we changed. It is high time that the younger generations of the little kids know about what is happening in our country, what is happening in our world, what is happening with our environment, which is causing such problems. Everyone, like every other person that I have sent this questionnaire to, had personally faced problems. It was asthma and other respiratory problems. It was all because of the climate change and its repercussions. Lastly, I would like to conclude by saying that action speaks louder than words. We need to be the change that we wish to see. It can be as small as planting a tree, or it can be as vast as converting all petrol and diesel based or oil based, fossil fuel based vehicles into battery operated vehicles. A recent conference of parties was held at Glasgow, which shows that it is the need of hour to change. And the developing countries have asked a sum of $1 trillion for switching over. And we have the mind, we have the talents in our hands, but it's just that we need to do it. We need to do the action. Lastly, here are some suggestions that I've put up in a slide, wherein we can say that we can set up like a large, on a large deserted swathes of land, we can install solar panels, wherein nearby villages can get free electricity. Wind power, hydropower, all of this can be used. Planting more trees is much more simpler and a much more good alternative if we have to start in an individual level. Thank you so much, and I hope that this made all of us to think in a better way for a better future for our little ones. Thank you so much, and Jai Hind.